Hello, I'm Nicholas, and as you can see from the title of the video, I'm going to share about a case study of Peter, who has diagnosed with Asperger syndrome. It is one of the group of neurological disorders known as autism spectrum disorders, ASDS. Some people call it as high-functioning autism because these individuals don't have delayed language skills and cognitive development which can be found in many people with ASDS. So this is a summary of the content that will be covered in this video. Moving on, we can now see a background of Peter. Peter is a 14-year-old boy with above average of cognitive ability. He showed a strong interest in science, IT, and electronics. He currently studying in a secondary school with no special provision provided. Moving on, we're gonna look at the sign and syndrome that can be found in Peter. Peter is unable to adapt style of communication to social situation because his language pattern have always been more reminiscent of adult than child speech, which may be inappropriately familiar. He has difficulties to read facial impression and fail to recognize others' emotion. This can result in struggling social interaction with other people. And he only motivated to factual information in his key areas of interest, which is science, IT, and electronics that we mentioned in previous slide. And he is very sensitive to sounds and can get anxiety in a noisy environment. His action of throwing things across the classroom in an uncontrollable manner has suggested that he lack of awareness and understanding of socially expected behavior. So after reviewing the signs and symptoms of ASD in secondary school age pupils that were found in Peter, we can now see whether the problem could be explained by theories. There are two major theories that enable us to understand the problem that Peter suffered. First, theory of mind. Theory of mind is the ability to attribute mental states, such as beliefs, intents, desires, emotions, and knowledge, to ourselves and others. With theory of mind, we can understand that others have unique beliefs and desires that are different from our own. It enables us to engage in daily social interaction as we interpret the mental states and infer the behaviors of those around us. So Peter's problem in failing to interpret social expression are other people's emotions because he always pays less attention to observing others. He shows less concern for others and have less ability to comfort and share emotion with others. He has a mindset that people should think the same way as him. Once there are people who behave in a way that is against what he thought, he will feel frustrated because he lack of the understanding that people have unique beliefs and desires. He will also misinterpret an accidental action as purposefully because he don't know whether the person intended to do it or accidentally. And executive dysfunction can explain other problems of Peter. Executive function is a set of mental skills that include working memory, flexible thinking, and self-control. A person with executive dysfunction will struggle in concentrating, controlling mental focus, and find it hard to control emotions and behaviors. The uncontrollable behavior of Peter in throwing things can be explained through executive dysfunction. And now we have analyzed some problems that could be explained by these two theories. However, the environmental factors can further illustrate Peter's special educational needs. So in this slide, we will discuss about the environmental factors that can explain Peter's problem. The abilities and behavior of students with Asperger syndrome may set them apart from their non-disabled peers. These individuals' needs and wishes are the same to those of any member of this society. We all want the same basic things out of life: a decent and comfortable place to call a home, something meaningful to do during a day, some close friends to share the good times and from whom who receive support in difficult times, and the opportunity to make our own decisions that will affect our personal life. People with disability want these the same basic things and speak up for themselves too. Maslow proposed a Maslow hierarchy of needs with his theory of human motivation and needs in 1943. He indicated that only when needs from a lower level of a hierarchy are met, then an individual begins to prioritize their needs for further the hierarchy so that different needs will become motivating at different times. The bottom of the model indicated the physiological needs of a person. In Peter's case, he has sufficient food, water, sleep, and shelter, which led him to the second level of the model. Safety and security is the second level of needs. At this level, people need to feel a sense of security in terms of health and well-being to take control of their life. The crowded and noisy environment in public enable people to have difficulties to effectively organize and manage a safe, secure daily structure. The environmental stimulus in school has overloaded the sensory of Peter, which results in anxiety, disruptive behavior, and exclusive incidents under this kind of setting. The violent behavior of Peter in throwing things and upsetting the table may be a form of way he expresses himself, but we all know this is an inappropriate way to elicit his anxiety and any other emotion. This may reflect on his helplessness and his thoughts of nobody who understands what he is suffering. So the noisy environment overloaded his sensory with noise, and feeling anxiety lead him to an insecure state. Now we move on to a next level. Social needs such as love, acceptance, and belonging are emphasized. At this level, the needs of emotional relationship drive human behavior. Some of the things that satisfy these needs included friendship, family, and community group. Lacking peer support in the classroom, Peter feel an exclusion because peers have limited knowledge of his condition and intentionally make fun of him. And this has intensified the situation. The feeling of exclusive may reduce the frequency of social interaction with his peers. The next level is self-esteem. Social rejection and repeated social failure that Peter received are obstacles to the development of healthy self-esteem. For a person with Asperger's disorders, there may be constant pressure to fit in the demands of a society that fails to understand their needs and difficulties. Inability to interpret the rules of society or meet the expectation of one's culture is demoralizing beyond measure. In facing the constant rejection, some young adults with Asperger's syndrome will withdraw even more from the society. retreating to the comfort of their own rooms or apartments and limited interests. This is because social failure can demotivate him to interact with others anymore. The top of the hierarchy of need is full development of one's abilities and ambitions. It could be getting employed in a workplace. So from this hierarchy, we can conclude that every person is capable and has the desire to move up the hierarchy toward a level of self-actualization. Unfortunately, progress is often disrupted by a failure to meet lower level needs. And so the recommendation has divided into three major categories, which are inclusion, theory of mind, and aggression. In order to promote inclusion, the teacher can implement peer buddy system. It is a way to emphasize friendship, respect for differences, and social interaction. The teacher can pair Peter with a fairly popular and friendly student in the class who was unlikely to get too frustrated with him. A peer buddy system can provide a positive and caring environment in school setting and discourage bullying. And the typical student can have more understanding of Peter and facilitate him in academics and develop social skills. Another way to promote inclusion is the collaboration between teachers. Most of the teacher preparation and parent training program focus on the student, teacher, and parent-child interaction. Therefore, there was a little time to dedicate in training parents and teachers. It reflected on how teachers and parents should spend more time to communicate with each other in developing the mutual goal towards Peter to avoid misunderstanding and frustration. The teacher can share his expertise in teaching some strategies that correlated to the learning objectives in the school for parents to practice at home to optimize Peter's learning outcomes. The teacher can also send a note home to his parents summarizing Peter's accomplishment in the school. The second recommendation for Peter to develop a theory of mind is the observant teacher should mark and comment on the event in a matter-of-fact manner. Because of Peter have difficulties in understand some jokes and metaphor, the observant teacher and peers should telling him like, this was a joke, and this metaphor show that, and another example which is Jasper didn't mean to bump into you, he just lost his balance. And through this method, the social translator could teach and comfort the student with Asperger disorder. Thought bubble activity. Thought bubble activity is using a picture in a head strategy for dealing with thoughts and behavior. The teacher will teach the children about cartoon thought bubble as a device for them to represent their mental state. The teacher will present a story to a student and the student will need to predict the character's thoughts through speech bubbles. It requires students to understand the character better to be able to better predict future choices and action from the character. Theory of mind can develop when the students are able to think from the perspective of the character, and it can be implemented in social activities as people might have the different thoughts as us. Wellman in his team showed that when thought bubbles were available, the children were often successfully at answering questions about Sally's thoughts. And during the post-test, The student can also successfully answer thought questions with the absence of thought bubbles. The third category is recommendation for the aggression behavior of Peter. Okay, so for the first activity to overcome the aggression behavior of Peter is video self-modeling. It is an observational learning in which the learner will observe a video of actors performing tasks within their capability as a way to acquire new skills or refine pre-existing one. The difference between video modeling and social stories is social stories always provide a short story that is designed to clarify a particular social context. However, video self-modeling enables the students themselves to be the model in this video and showing appropriate ways to express himself. Research suggested having the observer also be the performer in the video will strengthen their belief about their performance and increases the likelihood that effort will be expended to attain the targeted behavior. In Sadler's study, he applied replacement behavior in video modeling. It's a behavior you want to replace an unwanted target behavior, which is aggression. Sadler customized the video for each student with severe Asperger syndrome and presented it once a day during the intervention so that the student will guided to practice the replacement behavior in the video. And in that video, it will end up with their favorite character with a voice over instructing, like remember to use your rules. After they watch the video, reinforcement will be provided depends on the interest of each student. So in Peter's case, video self-modeling can be applied like the violent and uncontrollable manner maybe because he wants attention from the teacher. And so Peter can have a red flag um, on for him to fix on the table if he needs the teacher's attention. The teacher will give Peter lots of positive reinforcement for asking attention with his flag instead of like throwing things across the classroom. The results show a significant decrease in the level of aggression after the study. It can be attributed to when he is observing the video, he can mentally rehearsal the skills prior to behavioral performance. When he sees himself as a model in the video, the mental rehearsal can raise his self-efficacy to accomplish the depicted task. However, the limitation for this approach is that the teacher will need to have some video editing skills to make the videos for the students, so that the teacher should receive instruction on how to utilize the technology to create video self-modeling intervention to students with Asperger syndrome. Another way to solve the problem of aggression is through meditation. Okay, meditation is a mindfulness-based procedure to control physical aggression. And in Singh study, mothers serve as a therapy using a soft and calm voice to provide instructions such as cast the mind back to the incident that you feel anger and stay with the anger. Let the anger flow naturally and shift your attention truly to your sole of your feet. And each adolescent was required to practice twice a day with his mother until they achieved 3 consecutive weeks of no aggressive behavior. The results show no episodes of physical aggression occurred during a 4 years follow-up close. The success of this treatment can be attributed to the long-term process and sufficient opportunities for people with Asperger syndrome to practice as they adapt slowly to change. And coming to the end of my presentation, I would like to tell people who are watching this, no matter what social role you are taking in, we are responsible to spread more love in this world. 18th of February every year is International Asperger Day. The day aims to raise awareness about the condition and educate general population and highlight the challenges people with Asperger face. So now you can share what you learned about Asperger syndrome to your social media and the friends around you to let them have a better understanding toward this disorder. And I'm here to telling you, you are taking the first step in making our world better. And you are awesome. Thank you for your attention. Have a nice day. Thank you.